Hi, welcome to one more episode of Zindagi Ka Safar. And when we are talking about Zindagi, it's all about learning. So, one of the guests who has joined us, Surya, is joining us from Bangalore. And we are going to be talking to him not only about his journey, which is very, very interesting, I can tell you now itself, but we're also going to be talking about learning and development. So, one common thing which I have with him, what you can see in the background behind, there's a wonderful platform which has been created by Surya for learning and development professional, and we'll get to know more about that as we go on into this particular podcast. So, welcome, Surya, and let's hear about your Zindagi Ka Safar.
Well, thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. It's a pleasure being on with you on this platform. When my journey was nothing very exciting, I think at a very humble beginning.
Hmm.
Immediately after my graduation, I got into my own business. So
Okay.
I ventured into my own business. I started a training institution in Bhubaneswar.
Oh.
That's where I had my, large part of my education was in that city,
Hmm.
and that's where I started my career.
Hmm.
And then I realized after a couple of years, it's not doing great. And
Uh-huh.
22 years ago, Bhubaneswar, the market was fairly small. There
Hmm.
were not too many opportunities at that point in time.
Hmm.
And my entrepreneurial skills were also not great at that point in time. So
Okay.
it did not really take off.
Hmm.
Then I got into a job.
Hmm.
I got into a computer training institution as a center head,
Hmm.
um, a franchisee of one of the principals who were based in Bangalore.
Okay.
So I worked with them for a couple of years.
Hmm.
And with God's grace and some hard work, I and my team could turn that center into the best performing center in the country.
Hmm.
I got an opportunity to move to Bangalore to join the principal,
Hmm.
uh, to join the franchisor, so
Hmm.
to say, as the national sales manager for setting up new franchises.
Hmm.
So that's where I started my journey from Bhubaneswar to Bangalore,
Hmm.
and I did not look back. So I stayed on in Bangalore for more than 20 years. I have been in this city now.
Hmm.
So I was there with that company for about a couple of years, and then moved to um, corporate training thereafter.
Hmm.
Um, After having a brief stint with Microland, and then I joined a company called First Ring.
Hmm.
That's where my foray into corporate training began.
Hmm.
My experience in sales, business development, etc., was helpful
Hmm.
because that was in a training setup. Now
Yeah.
I was doing training for the workforce in the organization.
Hmm.
Then I moved to Hewlett Packard, um, and then I have also so currently as you know I'm Wipro,
Hmm.
um, leading the talent transformation function for Wipro digital operations and platforms
Hmm.
group. Um, in summary, I think it has been a fantastic journey, uh,
Hmm.
which had a very humble beginning in a small city.
Hmm.
Um, but the journey, which spans across more than 20 years, is filled
Hmm.
with a lot of learning, propelled by a number of good mentors who have really
Hmm.
helped me. And I believe my own hard work and also a little bit of luck,
Hmm.
which has really has been my journey. Uh, my passion was to be in the training space. This is
Hmm.
what I realized in the early part of my career. And I'm very
Hmm.
fortunate that I'm in this space,
Hmm.
working in that space um, taking charge of the responsibility of a large workforce.
Hmm.
I think personally, I believe I really don't value titles and positions.
Hmm.
I definitely value the responsibilities,
Hmm.
the opportunities. I value the impact I can create.
Hmm.
And I think with that philosophy in life,
Hmm.
uh, I have moved on, and today I'm here with a very exciting opportunity with to support a large workforce, and I continue to remain student
Mhm.
in the journey of life,
Hmm.
no matter what I do today. But I believe that I was a student, I am a student, I will be a student, and that probably will keep me going.
I think that tagline of yours, that you are a student, I think is very, very important, because I think, as you very rightly said, the training landscape itself has changed. And definitely, since you are working in a technology, we're working majorly in the last 15 years in technology firms, the technology itself has changed. I think the domain itself would have changed, and you would have also learned. So, other than that learning, did you get any formal inputs or learning about training and development as a function itself? Because for any new person wanting to be in a similar kind of journey like yours, uh, definitely you have great amount of experience and good organization. But did you also get into some kind of formal learnings or education on that?
No formal professional education, honestly. I don't think anything very formal exists in the
Okay.
L&D space. Of course, there are professional qualifications available for HR professionals, but
Hmm.
in the L&D space, there are certifications.
Yeah.
There is no professional education program as such.
Hmm.
Along the way, I have picked up a few certifications.
Okay.
But my biggest learning has been through experience.
Hmm.
My learning has come from my mentors.
Hmm.
My learning has come from the assignments, the programs, and the projects that I've worked on.
Hmm.
Through the mistakes I have made,
Hmm.
through the failures, more than from successes.
Hmm.
And I think that has been the primary source of learning. And as L&D practitioners, we believe that 70, 20, 10 philosophy. Um, 70, so 10% of learning comes through formal education, formal learning interventions. 20% comes through socialization, mentoring, community-based learning, etc. 70% comes through experience. And I think when I look back, my major learnings have come from the experience and also the mentors that I had.
Yeah, I think I will agree with you, because I also, uh, in my 20 years of experience in that learning and development, was able to learn quite a lot from uh, other people who are around, not only our mentors, but the peers which is there. And that brings me to the next part, because I think you have created a wonderful platform for learning and development professionals, uh, which is exactly doing that particular task. Yeah. So will you talk a little bit more about it? Because other than the excellent output which you are doing, what also amazes me is this is a non-profit and without any, so a lot of effort, but it's not something which is, I think, maybe directly paying you compared to if you put your effort somewhere else. So how does this both these things happen?
Well, the learning community that I initiated a few years ago was inspired by the belief that communities can achieve wonders.
Hmm.
When people come together and form communities,
Hmm.
um, the possibilities are limitless.
Hmm.
Um, and inspired by that philosophy and that belief, I wanted to start this community of L&D
Hmm.
practitioners. Right from my early student days, I were part of different communities.
Hmm.
Way back uh, in the late 80s, or maybe I think not late 80s, maybe in the early 90s, we set up this quality circle in Bhubaneswar.
Hmm.
When I was part of the JCs, the Junior Chamber organization. So somehow I think the philosophy behind communities have always inspired me.
Hmm.
So I wanted to start something for the identity practitioners.
Hmm.
Um, I think when we started this, we did not have any strong formal community in the L&D space.
Hmm.
There was a vacuum.
Hmm.
Um, and then I think I had this idea. I started this community in social media.
Mhm.
It started as a virtual community,
Hmm.
and slowly it gained momentum. It started with about 25, 30 odd people whom I knew, and then it started growing. I think had I initiated something like this 15 years ago, it wouldn't have been that successful. But I think when I started a few years ago, I think more than, of course, the power of community is always evident, but
Hmm.
also this is something which was enabled by technology.
Hmm.
So today, technology all pervasive. It connects people.
Hmm.
So social media was a good platform, good tool to kind of initiate this community, and then it had a cascading effect, multiplying effect, which started with about 25, 30 odd people, grew to become 5,000 people on social media, and it continued to grow. And there were a lot of people who were saying, hey, we must meet in person. Enough
Hmm.
of interaction through virtual platforms, social media platforms. So
Hmm.
that's where we decided to start local chapters.
Hmm.
So the Bangalore chapter of L&D Global, the community, the way as we call it,
Hmm.
started in 2015. Then we started chapters in Mumbai, Delhi, Pune, Bhubaneswar, Kolkata, Hyderabad, Chennai, and so on.
Hmm.
And it was the community feeling was infectious once we
Mhm.
started one chapter, and then practitioners in other cities wanted to kind of join hands and start a local chapter in their city, and that's how we started growing. It's a fairly large community with uh, membership base from across the country. It's a great platform, and our mission is collaborate, co-create, and contribute. The three C's, as we call it. The idea is to bring practitioners together so that they can collaborate. They can collaborate to co-create new bodies of knowledge, new artifacts, new
Hmm.
programs, new
Hmm.
solutions for the industry and for the fraternity. And eventually, their co-creation, the outcomes of the co-creation should make meaningful contribution
Hmm.
to the industry, to the society at large, and to the L&D fraternity.
Hmm.
So that's our mission. Inspired by that mission, many of our members contribute voluntarily to different activities. This includes mentoring,
Mhm.
facilitating sessions,
Mhm.
working together to co-create programs, etc.
Hmm. Mhm.
So it has been a great journey so far for him. And thankfully, you have been part of this, a very active member and contributor, and and you know about this journey as much as I do.
Yes, definitely. Though the last 1.5 years, because of the situation which is there, the physical meetings have stopped. So, how is it
Yes.
moving now? Are we still continuing on some kind of maybe a monthly kind of meet, either through online platform like Zoom or any other platform like that, or uh,
Yes. Yes. So the flip side, or the bad negative side, was um, the inability to hold face-to-face meetings. But this gave us an opportunity to conduct meetings which are global in
yeah,
nature.
yeah.
So while the Bangalore members used to meet in Bangalore, today we host meetings where people from across the country and maybe from other parts of the globe
Hmm.
join in to attend the sessions. We still feel the absence of the in-person
Correct.
face-to-face connect.
Yeah.
But I think we make do with what we have, and we also look at the positives. And we have been able to invite great speakers who
Hmm.
have delivered fantastic master classes on a wide range of subjects, and members do find them very useful.
Yeah, but I think that was very, very useful. The master classes which used to happen, because it always gave you, as you were pointed out, we all should be a student. So there is always a learning which comes up, and the crystallized knowledge comes in, and maybe you get an idea about something which is coming up and all. Now, coming to this challenge, and since you anyway, I think also lead the digital space now for Wipro, how has the learning and development changed again in this last 1.5 years for within the corporate? I'm
Oh,
talking
there
about.
has been significant change in this space.
Okay.
Um, the learning and development function is an enabler.
Hmm.
Um, but interestingly, while the industry is going through a change,
Mm-hmm.
um, the L&D function also has gone through a lot of changes.
Hmm.
They can't continue to follow the same practices they used to follow
Hmm.
when the workspace has changed. It's a hybrid model. It's the hybrid workforce,
Hmm.
and the whole dynamics are very different. So, what we have understood before I talk about um, L&D function as such, what we have seen is in the last 1.5 years, organizations who have been able to respond to the change faster
Mm-hmm.
have become successful.
Hmm.
Organizations which have been waiting for things to go back to normal
Hmm.
are struggling.
Hmm.
So there was a McKinsey study which says organizations which quickly respond are fairly successful to deal with the change and then come out stronger.
Hmm.
So essentially, what it means is while there is change,
Hmm.
organizations need to respond to the change. But for
Hmm.
them to respond to the change, they need to have the ability to respond to the change.
Hmm.
So essentially, what we can say is the pace of learning has to be faster than the pace of change
Yeah.
if organizations have to survive and thrive.
Hmm.
So that's the key. The challenge for L&D practitioners is to ensure that. How
Hmm.
can we ensure the workforce learn faster than the change that is happening around? You don't
Hmm.
even know what change is going to happen, what is going to happen tomorrow. How long this pandemic is going to continue, what is its impact on businesses, while changes are happening all the time. So that has been the biggest challenge.
Hmm.
Um, but I think in some best-in-class organizations, L&D function has, of course, after the initial setback and uncertainty, I think they have quickly um, uh, kind of come together to deal with this challenge better and then prepare their workforce to deal with this challenge. And the workforce, again, is a composition of different kinds of people
Hmm.
who are willing to learn, who come with a growth mindset. They're willing to take on the responsibility of learning. There are another other set of people who have the talent, but unfortunately have a fixed mindset.
Hmm.
So there is a struggle to really help them learn faster, learn, unlearn, relearn faster.
Hmm.
And there is a third category of people who are really struggling.
Hmm.
Um, they have the right intent, but they're clueless. They
Hmm.
need help.
Hmm.
So the workforce people in organizations are in different stages of this journey. It makes it even more complex for L&D to really figure out how to cater to the needs of these people. So I think a lot of changes have happened. L&D function has really uh, looked at re-looked at their delivery model, their
Hmm.
engagement model, their strategies. Um, at times where a lot of funding has gone into managing the business, taking care of the present investments into new technologies and business models when the budgets have been cut down. Um, those L&D teams which have really been innovative and creative and quick in terms of response, uh, they have been able to create impact in their organizations.
I think that gives us a good idea about how the L&D function is moved, and I think going forward, this will just build on the. This might be L&D I don't know, is 2.0 or 4.0, whatever way you want to call it. But I think uh, this last year has really changed all of us, the way we are looked at
Oh
it. I
yes.
think that's a good thing. Okay, Surya, we come to the last segment of our podcast, which is trying to get to know a little bit more about you, your preferences about different aspects in life, which is there. And we call it as lazy round. It's a casual talk about your preferences on a couple of different things which we'll try to do. Yeah, we'll ask you a few questions and you need to choose amongst them. Yeah. So, are you ready for going lazy? Because I think rapid fire we are
Sure.
always knowing. Lazy is another aspect. You have to be lazy and be in the present moment and all. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, fine. Okay. So, Surya, you will be more comfortable listening or singing songs.
Listening.
So,
I'm definitely a very bad poor singer, but I enjoy listening to songs.
okay. So, what kind of songs do you listen normally?
I listen to mostly Hindi songs,
Okay.
mostly the classic numbers from the old movies. That's what I
Retro movies which are
enjoy
there. Yeah.
listening to. Um, and also, I sometimes listen to devotional songs.
Okay.
They also give me a lot of inner energy,
Yeah.
help me to connect with the Supreme
Almighty. Yeah. So,
Creator, Almighty. Yes.
because I think one of the parts which I think gets quite neglected, specifically, I think given the Western way of looking at stress and other thing is to look at music and specifically look at bhajans or, as you said, something which is a divine kind of thing. Yeah. Uh, I think there might be a lot of scientific studies also which would have done talking about that, listening to that compared to maybe listening to a rock and roll might be nice for your sensibility, but will it really make you more comfortable? I'm not very sure on that. So, have you come across any kind of research because you are a L&D kind of person on the impact of, let's say, devotional songs on our well-being?
So any kind of impact. Though I haven't done any, looked at scientific studies, but I personally believe that devotional songs help you connect with the Supreme Soul,
Hmm.
and it's the connection that matters.
Hmm.
The soul always is hankering for the connection with the Supreme
Hmm.
Soul, with the Creator.
Hmm.
Like the waves in the sea, they rise and they want to kind of merge with the sea.
Hmm.
So that's the kind of connection. So that craving is always there.
Hmm.
It's sometimes because of our greed and complexes and our attachment towards worldly pleasures, etc. We sometimes get detached from that much bigger attachment and connection. And devotional songs, prayer and meditation, etc., take you, help you connect, and that connection is important. Is primarily important because you know you all understand that when we are taken back to the source,
Hmm.
and then you are ignited by that consciousness,
Hmm.
or you are awake with that consciousness,
Hmm.
that gives you a lot of inner strength.
Hmm.
The moment you know that you are the creation of the Supreme Creator,
Hmm.
then you are filled with immense amount of energy,
Hmm.
because the Creator is the embodiment of energy,
Hmm.
strength, knowledge, wisdom. So you never underestimate yourself. You don't overestimate yourself either
Hmm. Hmm.
at the same time. So your self-awareness improves. And that makes you a balanced, calm and composed person. That makes you more receptive as a human being, sharp with your brains, um, and also very calm and composed at the same time. And makes you a balanced human being. A balanced human being can take the right decision. Is not swayed by extremities in life,
Hmm.
extreme changes in life. Yes, he
Hmm.
can respond. And that, and all of us need to find our balance, especially Nothing can be accentuated more in the disruptive times that we are all experiencing, the most challenging times in the human history ever. But once you find that balance, you find inner peace. When you find that inner peace, you can gain the strength, and
So,
you have the courage and confidence to overpower all the adversities.
so, let me ask a follow-up question on this. So, will you call yourself more of a spiritual person or more of a religious person?
Well, I would say that. Well, I think all of us. So both spirituality and religion have their own values,
Hmm.
but they are not the same.
Okay.
So I would call myself a spiritual person, and I believe that everybody in this world is a spiritual person.
Hmm.
Sometimes we are aware, sometimes we're not aware.
Hmm.
And interestingly, the way we, though we live in a material world,
Hmm.
it's not very different from the spiritual world.
Hmm.
Um, so my spiritual guide, Sri Thakur Anupul Chandra, says, what you can see is matter,
Hmm.
and what is behind the matter is spirit.
Hmm.
So the human hankering or knowing what is behind the matter
Hmm.
is the spiritual portion. And he says the spirit is, so one is the effect, other one is the cause.
Hmm.
The spiritual world has the, explains the cause of everything.
Hmm.
So today, if you look at our present lives, we have advanced scientifically, we have got education. Today, science has told us about the human anatomy, the body parts. It tells us how many billion years ago, you know, there was the first creation on this earth,
Hmm.
and how, the species passed through evolution, and how finally the human beings landed.
Hmm.
We know about evolution, we know about the human anatomy, the body. Science tells us all of this, but science is silent about who am I,
Hmm.
why I came here,
Hmm.
what is the purpose of my life.
Hmm.
Science doesn't answer these questions.
Hmm.
So where science stops, spirituality begins. Spirituality helps us understand what is my purpose. It helps us understand the real thing, the power of the real thing, the cause of everything, the universal principles which govern the cause and effect
Hmm.
of everything. So spirituality takes us there. So if spirit signifies Atma, which is nothing but the consciousness in us keeps us awake.
Hmm.
So in that sense, everybody is conscious.
Hmm.
In that sense, everybody is a spiritual person.
Hmm.
Whether we agree or we do not agree, whether we acknowledge or do not acknowledge the fact, but all of us are spiritual people, and so
Yeah, no,
I
no,
am.
yeah, I think you have given us a very detailed answer, and uh, for many of us, I think we are all in a journey. So I think depending on what level we are at our spiritual journey, we will be able to relate to what you have said. But I think you made it very, very simple. I think that's the power of being a, L&D person and a very, very, very good orator, which you are. Yeah. So coming from spirituality, coming back again to a little bit of materialistic thing. So looking from a food choice, yeah. So if you are given a choice between Uriya food or Bengali food, which one will you choose?
Oh, you know, I am an Odia. I am married to a Bengali.
That's why I asked you. Mother का
Um,
खाना या फिर भाभी का खाना मतलब और wife का खाना. That's the choice you have.
over the years, I have grown up to like both.
Okay.
Whether it is ghanto tarkari
Hmm.
or aloo posto.
Okay.
I like both. I
Uh,
enjoy both, and my wife is good at cooking both Odia and Bengali dishes. It's
hmm.
a privilege, and because of the nature of my job and a lot of traveling, and then I was born and brought up in Odisha. I've been living in Bangalore for several years.
Hmm.
So I think a natural affinity towards South Indian food also has grown. So I think generally, I like all kinds of food. I'm a vegetarian, so I like vegetarian food. And I definitely enjoy both Bengali and Odia dishes.
For someone who is not from either of the states, I think when they are going to have the Bengali, the thali, if I may call it, a vegetarian thali and maybe a Oriya thali, they might not find too much differences into this. Maybe Bengali might be a little bit more spicy. I am not very sure compared to the few Oriya dishes which I had when I have been in Bhubaneswar or Cuttack kind of thing. So is
Actually, the
that correct
differences are
that
many.
Bengali is little bit more spicy than the Oriya food? Is it correct?
Yeah, I think a little bit more spicy.
More spicy.
But as you rightly said, differences are negligible.
Negligible.
They taste very similar, if not exactly the same.
Yeah.
There are, of course, some very unique dishes. For example, dalma is something that you will find
Only in
only
Orissa,
in
not
the
in
yeah, and probably something like supto. Did I pronounce it
Sukto.
correct?
Yeah, Sukto is more of a
I think
Bengali
that's a very unique Bengali dish.
cuisine.
So there are some unique food items for sure, but I think there's a lot of similarities. Rasagola or Rasagola, you know, I think they're popular both in Odisha and Bengal. And among the sweet dishes, chena poda is another sweet
Very,
dish which is very
very
popular.
Uriya, more Uriya.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right.
Uriya, do you make sandesh and all, or it's more of a Calcutta thing? The
Sorry.
sandesh, which is the sandesh which you make,
Sandesh,
sandesh.
yeah, Sandesh. I think you again find it both in Odisha and Bengal. I think a lot of sweets are common between both the states, and of course there are some unique ones.
So I think the final thing, because though it has been debated, so is Rasagolla or Rasgulla, which one is it owned by Bengal or owned by Orissa?
You know, I have been asked this question so many times, and so people ask, who does this belong to? Does it belong to Odisha or Bengal? My response usually is it belongs to India.
And to the person who is eating
And
it, yeah. So and to the person who is
I,
eating it. So if you don't have the Rasgulla, it does not belong to either of them. So it belongs to you. So
so this is what I say. I said it doesn't really matter where it was
yeah.
invented. It's impossible for me to say whether it was invented in Odisha or in Bengal. There are a lot of theories, but I take pride in the fact that it was invented in India, and that's what I'm proud of. And I think some of my Odia friends don't like this when I say this. This is what I tell them: if India is our mother, and if it was invented in Bengal, it doesn't matter because Bengalis are Bengalis, Odias, Marathis. We're all brothers and sisters. So how does it matter whether I invented or my brother invented
Correct.
this?
Yes.
So it doesn't matter.
So one last question before we try to wrap up this thing. Today we don't have the opportunity of going out, but let's say once this pandemic is over and we are all allowed to go back to the pre-COVID levels, and you have the option of going on a vacation, many of us might be waiting to do that. Will it be someplace in India or will it be abroad?
Well, I would probably my next destination probably would be uh, outside India. If everything is if the atmosphere is congenial and there is the right opportunity and the right window in terms of time, etc. Um, so I would love going back to Europe. I think my last tour was to Switzerland and Paris. I and my wife both had visited there. But there are so many other places that we would like to cover in Europe if there is an opportunity. Probably my next vacation would be to Europe. But over the next few years, I would like to explore more of India as well.
So Europe, if you're looking at you will be preferring more like some place like a Italy, which has got a lot of historical thing, or you'll want to again go back to something which has got more of natural thing? Uh, what will be your preference be?
I would, the countries which are in my uh, to-do list,
Hmm.
there definitely Italy is one of them, and Belgium is the other country that I want to go back.
Belgium is interesting because I don't know what interested you, because I think you are not a beer drinker. So, what exactly? Because
I'm not.
Belgium, uh, uh, one, the
I'm
country
not.
is small, and by the time you start, it just ends. So, what exactly attracts you about Belgium?
I think both. It's a good blend of what you get to see from an historical perspective
Hmm.
and also nature. Um, so that's what probably attracts me. And then I have read a lot about it. It's in my list.
Hmm.
Italy again, a lot of historical relevance and also definitely the nature. So these are two countries that I would like to cover whenever there's an opportunity. Uh, and I think last time we were in Switzerland, it was the bounty of nature and
Hmm.
nature. It was beautiful. And if I have an opportunity to go back there again, I would, definitely would like to do that. I think the last trip we felt that we should have spent a little longer there.
Hmm.
It's just paradise on earth. So
Good. So I think one more thing which we all got to know, that not only you are a great uh, leader, you are a wonderful learning and development professional, but you are also a romantic. So you want to go back to Switzerland and maybe sing couple of this Yash Chopra songs again and relive those particular moments with Bodhi or Bhavi, as we call it. Yeah. So wish you both all the best. I think Surya, it was wonderful catching up, and thanks a lot for sparing time with us and sharing your journey and giving your insights about how L&D is going to be performing in the years to come. And let's catch up some other time, and we will keep this discussion going.
sure, Twin, thank you very much. I think it was wonderful talking to you on a wide range of topics
Yeah.
about my career, about L&D as a profession, about community, food, holidays, spirituality. I think it's a complete package that you made sure that we cover all these topics. Thank you very much, Twin. I really enjoyed talking.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.